Hello everybody, my name's James and welcome to the Gameweek27 Deadline stream, and it's live, and over the next 57 minutes or so I'll be trying to answer as many of the YouTube community's FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the Gameweek27 11 AM UK time deadline. Firstly, let me take you through the graphics on stream. You will find many of the answers that I think I'm about to be asked questions for on the screen. Firstly, my team, top right hand corner, I have taken a -4, Sanchez to Raya. And nearly everybody who asks me for a Sanchez solution is going to get told the answer. David Raya. I've overlooked him all season. Enough. Second best scoring goalkeeper in the game. Very, very good option from now till the end of the season. They do have rough fixtures in their running. That's fine. If you've got a good alternative like I've got with Kepa, I think that's perfectly reasonable. So Raya's in for Sanchez. The -4 hit is Matoma in for Odegaard. I line up this week with Raya, Trippier, Dunk, Henry, Saka, McAllister, Maddison, Rashford, Matoma, Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney. On the bench, Kepa, Iheanacho, Botman and Gabriel. Everyone is going to have a benching dilemma this week, and I'll take you through that in a moment. But first, top captaincy picks. You'll see I'm captain Ivan Toney. My answer and solution on this is if Brentford have a good game week, I imagine he will. If Brighton have a good game week, there's every chance I'll pick the wrong one. So Toney is clear talisman for Brentford. That's why he's getting the armband from me. I believe all three of those Brighton midfield options are great options for the captaincy. Like they're there, second, third, fourth. Slight preference for Mitoma over March, McAllister, that order. Easily flip it. Toss a coin between the three of them, to be totally honest. Whatever you've got, stick with it. Don't flip between, I've seen people go, I'm going March to McAllister, stuff like that. Don't do it. Just keep what you've got. Rashford, I think, is the best option of those with a single game week at home to Southampton. Then Salah, then Haaland, then Nunez. If you want to go really rogue for a differential doubler, and Mbumo and Estupinan, I think, are probably the two best options from Brentford. As in other than Toney, and Estupinan over Dunk for defensive returns for Brighton. You'll see to the left of me all the correct score predictions for all 12 games in the double game week. Brighton and Palace always finishes 1-1, so I'm obviously going to go down that route, aren't I? Any real shocking predictions in there? Probably not, to be totally honest. Probably that. Palace maybe to get something at Brighton on Wednesday, just because they always do. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see next 5 game week fixtures for all 20 teams. The fixtures in light blue represent double game weeks. The FDR there in terms of colouring is taken from FPL's official website. The benching dilemmas, as mentioned, everybody is going to have dilemmas this week, and some big ones. So there are big names on the benching dilemmas this week. The most brutal question of them all, I'm going to answer now. Who would you bench out of Haaland, Salah, Rashford, Kane and Saka? It'd be Saka, because he's got the toughest fixture as far as I'm concerned. Benching dilemmas. Player with the tick is the preferred option to start over all of these options. They run in order, pages 1 to 4. Page 5 is for the goalkeepers. So I would start this week Saka over Trippier, Trippier over Trent, Trent over Ings, Ings over Odegaard, Odegaard over Havertz, Havertz over Diaz, Diaz over Maddison, Maddison over Watkins, Watkins over Johnson, Johnson over Almiron, Almiron over Chilwell, Chilwell over Botman, Botman over Perisic, Perisic over Gabriel, Gabriel over Pereira, Pereira over Tarkovsky. And for the goalkeepers, if you don't have a doubler, or even if you do, Kepa over Sanchez. I think that's what we'd probably do at the moment, isn't it? Because Steele's definitely going to play tomorrow, or today even. That's how it looks anyway. Sanchez over Pickford, Pickford over Ward, Ward over Leno. Right, that's your benching dilemmas. That will continue to rotate during the stream for you. Keep your eye on that. I know so many people are going to ask that sort of benching dilemma question this week. If you're in the stream now, smash a like, hit the sub button. Doesn't cost anything. How many of you smashed that fun button that are in? Yep, about 10% of you. As per usual, there's about 90% who need a bit of encouragement. Here it is. Press the like button, please. Right, this will be fast paced. Let's get into it. Chim is first. This is my current wildcard plan. Includes booking in transfers to 28, 29 and 30. Do you think it's too dangerous booking in that many with an international break coming up? Be flexible. All right. I had a long-term plan all the way to the end of the season when I wildcarded last week. That's already had to change because of Sanchez. So be prepared to remodel the plan. you will need some flexibility. Simple as that, but nothing wrong with having a plan, mate. Yo says, on a wild card, I'm going to free hit in 28. Darwin or Kane and Ings or Iheanacho. Darwin and Ings. Honestly, if I was wild carding now and free hit in 28, Danny Ings would be in for me. And I think on that basis, probably Darwin Núñez would be as well. Chris Poyner says, is Stupinan or Trippier to get more points over the next 2 game weeks? Cheers, James. Over the next 2 game weeks. We've got the same amount of fixtures, haven't they? You'd have to back Trips, wouldn't you? I think. But it doesn't mean you should pick Trips over a Stupinan this week. I'm not sure the relevance of the question in terms of you don't to buy one or sell one. I think over the 2 weeks, Trips, isn't it? Chris Poyner says, that's what I've just done. Shim says, double Brighton mid this week. March to Maddison in 28. Then Odegaard to, I presume, Bruno Fernandes in 29. Kane to Haaland in 30. Stevie J 10 says, hi James, great work as always, thank you. Would you bring in Tony for Darwin free transfer if captain Mitoma on wildcard next week? Yeah, fuck it, I'd go for it. Nathaniel Chapman says, on a scale of 1 to oh bloody hell, how painful is this game week going to be? It's not. It's going to be a good game week for everyone. Simon Swally says, am I overthinking to take a -8 this week to get 4 doubles, then free hit 27, I presume you mean 28. Bench boost with probably a -8 in 29 so I can save my wild card for later on. Do you need to take that volume of hits in 29? That's all I'd say. You don't have to have 15 doublers. There's a lot of players got good single game week fixtures. It's difficult to comment without seeing your team, obviously. Please don't post your whole team. I'll assume you meant free hit in 28. -8 this week. So you're judging it, right? I mean, depends what the -8 is, right? If you're going, McAllister to March and shit like that, no, don't do it. If you're getting in clear, strong players with doubles this week ahead of players that you don't want in your team, crack on, mate. LH says, morning, mate. No questions. You will have it already. But leaning Tony captain due to expected minutes. All the best for this weekend, mate. That wouldn't be the reason for my decision. That's all I'd say on that. It's more about talisman status. Sam Warren says, morning, James. With double Arsenal and double Newcastle defence, do you prefer spreading the risk or doubling on Newcastle? Thanks. If I was in a position this week where I had Trippier, Botman, Zinchenko, Gabriel, I'd probably play the double Newcastle if that was the choice. Yeah, I think that's the way I'd go. Most likely. Refers to benching dilemmas. Yeah, Botman ahead of Gabriel. So, yeah, that's the way I'd go. Andrew Jarvis says, hello, mate. Is it worth selling Haaland for Kane on wildcard this week, bringing him back in 30 and free hitting next week and bench boost 29? I would leave the money in the bank, mate, and not go with Harry under that circumstance. I'd go with someone who's got a decent fixture this week and a decent 29. So, I think Darwin Núñez, Danny Ings would be the 2 that I'd probably really consider under that circumstance. You could go Brennan Johnson and maybe bench this week. And I don't even think starting him would be the worst thing in the world, to be honest. So it wouldn't be Harry. I'd leave the money in the bank, mate. LP says, hi James, planning 2 transfers this game week from -4. Which 2 of Ward to Steele, Odegaard to Mitoma, Darwin to Tony? The last 2, because I just wouldn't bother with Steele. I've been quite clear on that over the last 24 hours and longer. Currently, Henry and McAllister only doublers, planning wildcard in 28. Cheers. There's your answers. Andres says, hi James, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. One question, who to start, Trippier, Felix or Saka? Thanks and good luck, Saka, mate. LH would like everyone to smash the like button, everyone. JP says, your top single player buys for this game week and next. Single game week buys for this week and next. Watkins, Buendia, Chilwell, Havertz, Felix, Trippier, Cher, Almiron maybe even. Wilson is a little bit dodgy maybe. Isak very punty. I think there's a chance they might both start tomorrow possibly. There you go. There's a few names for you. Brennan Johnson, another one. Perhaps. Although it's not the best, Tottenham and Newcastle not the best 2, but if you want it for 29 as well, I think that's decent. Who's next? Chim says, what long-term assets are people missing on wildcard, do you think? Feels like people are going very short-term. I don't think people are missing that much. I think everybody generally knows where the switches are going to be, and it's from 29 start targeting United, Liverpool again, then from 30 get back into City, being conscious of a potential Newcastle Brighton extra fixture. It's manoeuvrable. it's manoeuvrable. I mean, long-term picks is Brighton assets, to be totally honest. They're the team that's definitely, almost definitely, not definitely, but almost definitely going to have 3 doubles after game week 29. JP says, do you think Potter keeps the same players as the 3 centre-backs? No Badiashile. My best guess would be Badiashile would play today. Be the same back 3 that played against Leeds. That would be my best guess. Remember, Badiashile was not registered in the Champions League. So I'd think he'd probably come back in, although all reports would suggest Marc Cucurella had a very good game for Chelsea against Dortmund on Tuesday. Jonathan says, hi James, haven't wildcarded yet. Plan is to free hit 28 and bench boost 29. Am I missing anything big down the line with free hit and bench boost? Haven't decided when to use wildcard. Will hold for now. Cheers, pal. Then in that case, what you're probably doing is wildcarding 33. And you need to go right to 32. So big targets for you from 29 onwards will be Liverpool, arguably Arsenal as well. It's a little awkward because they play each other in 30, but you're definitely going to want Liverpool, Arsenal in 32, the way we think it will look. Those 2 teams certainly play in that week in any case, but if we had a cup shot where maybe United still play that week against Chelsea, that may change things for you. That needs Fulham to beat Man United in the cup for that to happen. So it will be difficult to manoeuvre what you want for 32 and 34 without wildcarding in the middle of that. Of course, the other option is you could wildcard on 34 if you're already using that bench boost in 29. Donald D says, hi James, great content all week as ever, thank you. No questions, the benching dilemma will probably cover it. I hope so. Owen Armo, is Martinelli to McAllister for a hit worth it? Would mean 10 players in game week 28. I'm going to say yes, and you can always move one and, hokey cokey with the Brighton players. That might be what I do. I might sell, for example, Lewis Dunk next week to come back for a Stupinan, or let's say McAllister or Matoma gets injured, sell one and come back for March, for example, in 29. That might be the sort of thing that I do. Jason Stilling says Lineker or Sharp. Lineker, mate. JP wants me to present match of the day. Not happening. I'll stand with Gary. Case B says, hi James, what do you think of JWP and Maddison for this and the coming game weeks? JWP, no. Unless if you're wildcarding 29, I wouldn't mind Ward-Prowse, I think. Double this week's tough though. Tottenham 28. Yeah, listen, the fixtures don't matter too much for him, but the single 29 would be really off-putting. And they play Manchester City in game week 30. So a no to Ward-Prowse. Maddison, yeah, look, he's in for me. I'm keen. Not the best next 2. Chelsea at home, Brentford away. I think once we land 29, it'd be popular, I think. Emily Sissoni says, hey James, what are your thoughts on bringing Zaha in this week? And would you do it for Odegaard from -4 due to possible illness? Look, I don't think any of us really know if Odegaard's going to play or not. I think we should assume that he's fine. Let me take that back. We shouldn't assume. Let me say I'm assuming he'll probably be fine would be my best guess. Not that we can actually know. Would I do that for -4? No, I think Zaha's fixtures are too tough, to be honest. Well, free hitting this week, I'd probably take a punt on Wilf. But to actually bring in, they go to Arsenal themselves next week as well. It'd be a no for me. And Emily, how's your bench? Like, if Odegaard doesn't make it, have you got good cover? Most of us have this week. I think there'll be a lot of people benching Odegaard in any case this week. Chris Wood says, good morning, James. Start 1 of Odegaard on Maddison. Odegaard. He'll have a starter, he won't he, I think. JP says, James Ward-Prowse or Salah on wildcard. Depends what you're doing strategy-wise, but I think in any case the answer should be Salah. Shifo says, what happened between Lineker and the BBC? The BBC fucked themselves really hard. Perlo's Pen says, hi James, what did you think of Conte's comments on Richarlison? Sat him down nicely. Did he? Not sure, mate. I think Antonio Conte's looking for a war with Tottenham fans today, mate. I'll be totally honest, when I heard the he's been shit, although he didn't exactly say that. To be honest, I laughed. Ollie Harris says, morning James, hope you're well. Do you think I should burn a transfer or downgrade Zinchenko to Fofana White to free up funds for the next couple of weeks? Cheers. I'm going to burn a transfer. Depends on your strategy, Ollie. What you doing? You free hitting 28, you bench boosting 29. Can you fix a goalkeeper? Can you make something better there? Can you fix something on the bench? Would I move Zinchenko to White? No. But I'd arguably go Zinchenko to Fofana if you're not free hitting next week. Or if you're, more importantly, if you're bench boosting 29, gives you an extra fixture 29. Heather says, good morning, James. Good morning, Heather. Ian Mbambi says, hello. Hello, Ian. F and Justin says, morning, James, you legend. What would be your differential punch for free hit game week 28? Differentials for free hit 28. I think Emmy Buendia would be right near the top of the list. Matty Cash too. I think if it's just the single for the 1 week. Chelsea players, definitely. So Ben Chilwell, I think. No reason at this point in time not to think he starts that game next week. Maybe Kai Havertz, for example. Callum Wilson, maybe, if we think he's going to start next week. Another one. Sonny, on a free hit, maybe next week. See what happens with Tottenham today. Maybe Ryan 8 Norrie Wolves, if they play a back three today, and it looks like they're going to play that way next week. Might be another one. There's a few for you. Rob Hicks says, morning, mate. Would you do Martinelli to McAllister from -4? Will leave me likely to go with 10 in 28. Thanks, bud. Yes, mate, I've done very similar. FPL Glasto says, bench of Haaland, Kane, Martinelli, Saka or Rashford. There you go. Kind of answered that right near the start. I'd pick Saka over Martinelli personally. So in order of preference on them, the answer would be Rashford, Haaland, Kane, Saka, Martinelli. And if you need to throw Salah into that mix as well, I'd put him after Rashford but before Haaland. Kia says, hi James, Zinchenko same place as Gabriel on your benching dilemmas? Yeah, I would say so, yeah. I mean, Gabriel scored twice historically against Fulham, so yeah. Soya Gosh says, would you rather have Nunes or Ward-Prowse or Salah and Watkins on a wild card? Or would you rather do Salah, Fernandes and Watkins and get rid of Saka and play 9-28? Please help out. There's a lot going on there. Can I just say Salah and Watkins and move on? Navy Blue says, triple captain Mitoma or Tony or save it. Depends a little bit on your other strategy. But if currently you don't think you're using a wild card in 34, I'd save it. Haaland, potentially Fulham and West Ham, who by that point may have little to play for between the two teams. And I think West Ham will get themselves out of this. And that could look like quite a nice double. The only problem with that period, obviously, if City's still in the Champions League, there's potential rotation. But the nice thing about it is City would have the double, then Leeds at home 35, then Champions League. So you could be good there for a Haaland triple captaincy. I think if it lands that way, he'll be very highly captained in that particular game week. So I'd be looking for that, as long as you're not planning to like wildcard 33, bench boost 34. If you were, then arguably I'd use it, and I'm back in Tony for the captaincy. Lewis Cole says, morning James, can't go Raya. Sanchez to steal to play over Kepa this week for free, or roll for more info closer to bench boost 29. Sanchez will play over Kepa. I'm really not keen on going still. Honestly, I'm really not. It's just, whoever you go for from Brighton, you're going to want these further down the line. And yes, it looks like Steele's in goal now, but how long does this last for? None of us know. None of us thought Steele was coming in last week, right? So I think it's like the immediate. I'd be looking to get a different Brighton player in, to be totally honest. Like if you haven't got defensive coverage, focus your eyes towards getting Dunker or Estupiñán. In terms of play this week, like if you go Steele, yeah, sure, I'd pick him over Kepa. Kepa's reasonable. Part of my thinking this week was, if it wasn't clear on what was happening with Sanchez, was just to leave it and know that I've got Kepa in reserves pretty decent. So, but my option, Lewis, I'm going to guess you've already got 3 Brentford on board. That's why you can't go Raya. I would consider David De Gea as your alternative. Great fixture this week. Double 29. You could obviously play Kepa over De Gea in 28 when De Gea blanks. Puts you an extra doubler in the bank. I'd consider that. Alisson, another alternative maybe. Dan Moss says, hi James, hope you're well. Odegaard, I presume it's Odegaard, to a second Brighton mid, or hold and play Maddison instead. Already have March. Cheers, bud. Yeah, I'd go for it now, mate. Go for the Brighton player. Motta says, hi, I don't have Brentford defence. Worth Henry for a -8. Have Gabriel and Walker on bench currently. Thanks. No, it's a no. Nigel Sam says, would you do Odegaard or Gakpo out for a Brighton mid, and which one? No chips played. Planning free hit 29. Well, under that basis, it's probably got to be Gakpo goes, isn't it? Because Odegaard gives you the cover next week. Shifo says, which one would you bench out? Shaw, Odegaard, and Felix. Felix, I think. Eno says, hi James, I see you're playing Maddison over Botman, Gabriel. Confident they can get something at home. I currently have Zinchenko on with Maddison on the bench. Should I join you with Maddo? I'll explain the decision-making process. So, think there's every chance Fulham score this weekend, so therefore Botman over Gabriel, considering I think Botman will get a clean sheet this weekend. However, Botman is probably 6 points. And if Maddison does well, the ceiling's always big, right? So that's the decision to play Maddison. Do I actually think Maddison outscores Gabriel this week? Not Gabriel, Botman. Probably not. But I don't think I could live with that decision to play him over Botman. I think over Gabriel is an easier one, for example. So that's why I'm playing Maddison. Nigel Sam says, can you go over which teams are most likely to double in 34 and 37? Good luck this week. Yep. So if the favourites win in the Cup, that would be Man City, Man United and Brighton. Obviously, the other game, Sheffield United, Blackburn's between two Championship teams. Manchester United and Chelsea's postponed in 32. And Brighton and Manchester City be postponed in 32. The way it would look at the moment, it's most likely the 28 postponements. That's Man City, West Ham, Liverpool, Fulham and Brighton, Manchester United will probably go into 34. The two postponed fixtures from 32 will probably go into 37. That will give Manchester United, Manchester City and Brighton doubles in 34 and 37. Can I guarantee the order of those fixtures? No, but that seems the most likely at the moment. And to repeat what I've been saying for a number of weeks, I think game week 31 is currently the most likely for Newcastle versus Brighton. When I say most likely, let me say less than 50%, but more likely than any other option. There you go. And in the dash says, hi James, I can't buy a Brighton defender if I want to navigate through game week 28. Should I buy Steele for -4? And who do you prefer between Henry and me if money is not a problem, or just play White? Still me, I think. There's nothing wrong with playing Ben White. And in all I'd say is I wouldn't say that you can't buy the Brighton player, and I would still prefer that. Why? Because it gives you one less player in 28. That's what I've done here by buying Mitoma. So the preference would still be, you're saying about buying Steele for -4. No, personally I wouldn't want to do that for free at the moment. I would get a Brighton defender, would be the choice, mate. Great double 29 as well. Factor that into the thinking, and further down the line, more to come probably. Almost definitely. Dana J says, I have Emerson Royal. Don't ask how, but should I play him bench or White or transfer him out for someone else? I'd bin him, because if Pedro Porro plays well today, there's every chance to play against Southampton tomorrow. Sounds like Emerson's probably going to be a substitute at best, based on the comments from Conte's presser yesterday. So it's a clear sell for me. Clear sell. Get a Brighton or Brentford player. Might give you 3 fixtures over Emerson's, none over the next 2 weeks. Then there's an extra fixture 29 as well. No brainer. Sell him, mate. J-Law Broski says, alright James, looking forward to the next few weeks in FPL. Time to try and climb. In my opinion, Liverpool are favourites to finish 4th, but where do you think Spurs, Newcastle, Brighton will finish? Brentford, Fulham look to push too. I think Tottenham's very dependent on the next 3. Like, if we could win them all, then we're obviously right in contention ahead of a more difficult run of fixtures. I certainly think your Newcastle will stay in contention. I think, yeah, it's difficult to foresee that it won't be Liverpool now, but they've got a very difficult 3 fixtures over the 29-30 period. If they navigate that well and within touching distance, you would expect them to do it. I made a comment that coming out of that game week, I probably would want Tottenham to be about 10 points clear of Liverpool. So for that to happen, Tottenham need to win the next 3, and Liverpool probably only to win 1, maybe 2 of those fixtures. So yeah, I think Liverpool 4th. It's be touch and go, I think, probably between the two of us for 5th, and I really would not discount Brighton. Brentford, Fulham won't finish top 4. I would not discount Brighton. Really, really wouldn't. I think they could get up ahead of steam in the next few. Got a tough run of fixtures against Tottenham, Chelsea, City, 30-32. That Newcastle rearranged game probably goes in there as well. But if they did well over that period, they might just be on a wave, right? They look like they're going to score against anyone at the moment. I really wouldn't rule them out. But Liverpool 4th, yeah. Dan Moss says, come guys, smash the like. It's the least they deserve after the time they put in. Play it your way. Be kind and good luck all. Very well said, Dan. At what percentage are we on now? On probably about 30% of you or so have smashed the like button. Thanks to the extra 20% who joined in for the shits and giggles. It doesn't cost anything to hit that fun button, guys. J-Lord Broski says, hope you're well, bro. Studio looks fire. Thank you, mate. Tommy Moody says, feeling confident about Mbumo this double game week. Jordan Rice says, start Martinelli or Foden, or sell Foden for March and start March. Be very tempted to do that. City blank, 28. Single fixture, 29. Again, depends on your strategy, but yeah, I'd be getting March in, mate. Joakim Olsen says bench Watkins or Maddison. Yikes. It'd be Watkins bench for me. Again, I just think Maddison's ceiling a little bit higher. That's a tough. I've got them right next to each other on the benching dilemmas. You should be able to see it on screen right now, actually. So, slight preference for Maddison. Simon Sully says, thanks, James. Very welcome, James Nelson. Hi, James. Thanks for all you do. Great content. Smash a like, everyone. Thank you. Bobby96. Morning, James. Would you do Steele for Ward and play over Edison? No. I mean, if I went that way, I would play him over Edison. Yeah, sure. But would I do it? No. I'm really not keen on the Steele move, guys. Yeah, it probably pays good this week. Don't get me wrong. I'm really not keen. Henriette Johansson says, cheers, James. What do you think about Morris to Matthias Jensen for a hit? Jensen covers the next few weeks. Great. Ticks over at 4.8. I presume that's under consideration because you've already got free Brighton. For free, maybe. For a hit, nah. Nah, I don't think so. Jovan Kanija says, hi, James. Bench Odegaard or Zinchenko? I'd bench Zinchenko. Jim says, Arsenal defence needed over next 4. Or can I go a bit cheaper? You can go a bit cheaper. FPL Deadline88 says, hello, James. I'm from Malaysia. Which one's a bench? Chilwell or Trippier? Chilwell, mate. I'd always play Trips. Nearly always, mate. Shifo says, I have 0 free transfers now if I free hit 28. How many transfers would I have in 29? 1. Whenever you use a chip, you got 1 free transfer afterwards. Simple logic. ASMR shitposter says, hey, James, De Silva or Trent this week? Is there a chance Trent is rested? I'm a little concerned De Silva didn't start against Fulham. De Silva probably won't start twice. So you might as well play Trent, mate. Chris Carter says, is Leeds v Brighton fixture 100% going ahead? Leeds weather causing traffic disruptions with more snow on the way today. Panic. Yeah, it's off. Listen, I said yesterday 1% chance. And there's been no reports this morning suggesting the game might be in danger. So, crack on. It's going to be fine. The only way it won't be fine is if literally the heavens open like mad, like that day that I was in Burnley not last November, but the November before. And every time they tried to clear the snow off the pitch, the snow just kept landing again. So when it's that heavy, sure. But unless it comes down like ridiculous, and it's not predicted as far as I'm aware, no problems. Who's next? Peter O'Shea, Foden to McAllister worth of -4. Going to say yes over the forthcoming weeks. You might not get an immediate on that if Foden starts this week, but yes. Tommy Moody, 4.54 expected returns for Ali McAllister in the last 5 games, but only 2 returns. He's due to blow up soon. He's my captain. Ian says, hello, James. Who would you pick this game week, Marsh or McAllister? Look, I went with McAllister last week, so I'll stick to my guns with that. But I think you could put a piece of paper between those 3 Brighton assets. I think they're all superb options. LP says, hi, James. If wildcarding in 28, does it make sense to play 9-10 that game week in order to get 14-15 doublers and 29 for bench boost? Great content as always. I think you could do it with 11. I think that the gamble if you wildcard next week would be no Arsenal. Scary. But that would be the gamble. Go no Arsenal. 1 fixture. How bad can it be? 1 fixture. Palace don't get smashed, really. 1 fixture. No Arsenal next week. Set yourself 15 doublers if you're doing that. I'd consider. That's what I'd do. Honestly, if I was wildcard next week, I'd arguably go no Arsenal. Avi says, hi, James. Botman or Cash for 4 or 5 weeks from now. Also, Newcastle chance of having a double 30-31. I've already explained. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to say to you, Sven Botman, mate. Colin Pragg says, Tony and McAllister in for Morris and Watkins. Can't argue that. Andres says, I have March and McAllister. Captain McAllister for me. Can you explain why you go with Mitoma, March, McAllister? Is that pure guess and good feeling or stats or something else? It's just, to be honest, a decision I made in about 2.5 seconds, mate. Mitoma is the one on the eye, I think. Just remove everything else. I think March is then next. And then I think McAllister fourth. And the reason McAllister to be bottom of the 3 is just purely on the De Zerbi may look at Palace in midweek and go, I'm going to play Gross at right back and drop McAllister deeper. That's it. That's literally it. And if it was just this weekend, I'd be very confident McAllister plays at 10. And I think he probably does against Palace as well. But we have to consider that that's a a possibility down the line somewhere when McAllister plays deeper. And if he does, it's just not as attractive. It's as simple as that. Mitoma, March, know where they're going to play. And know where they're going to play. So that's the reason for the order. But is there any science behind it? No. I've said you put a piece of paper between them. If you said McAllister's best, I'm going to go thumbs up. Cool. No problem. I think they're all great options. Paul H says, hi James, Ramsdale to Raya for a hit. Depends on what's going next. I think if I was bench boosting 29, I'd be just about give it the edge to say yes, probably. Doesn't improve you for 28, does it? I think. Depends. Is that part of a Brighton player get in? That makes it more helpful. That's a closer one, I feel, for me. Like, I wouldn't advise Kepa to Raya for a hit, for example. Like, if you're pairing it up, like I'm selling Sanchez for me, right? It's a close one. I'd probably say no. Does it need to be done now? Probably say no. I'd do it though. Maestro 18 says, hey James, it's a close one. Hope your morning is good. I'm thinking of doing a -4 for Haaland to Iheanacho and Pereira to McAllister. Do you think that's worth it? Or just Haaland to Kane free transfer? I'm going to say yes, do it, but I'd consider alternatives to Iheanacho now we got to this point. Last week I did it part with the Southampton fixture in mind, right? And he missed 3 big fucking chances. Now you're doing it at a period he's walking into Chelsea and Brentford. So subject to what you're planning to do the next weeks, I've said about Ings, Watkins, Brennan Johnson. There's a few alternatives for you, subject to what your strategy is. It's really important. I obviously don't know what that is. Harry Kane at this moment, honestly, I wouldn't bother with, personally. And that's not a doubt on Harry Kane. That's just it could be very toxic at White Hart Lane today. P3 Scoo says, hi James, thanks for the great content. You have Odegaard over Havertz. Is it same Odegaard over Felix? Yeah, arguably even more so because we think Havertz is on penalties, right? Burger Hook says, evening James. Apologies if this has been asked. On wildcard, would you go with De Gea or Kepa or partner with Raya? If I was on wildcard, I would maybe. I mean, I would go Raya. But there's every chance to say I'd go Kepa and De Gea. I think I would still go Kepa and Raya, I think. Dixie says, James, will March play? Would you captain him? Yes, he'll play. No, I say yes, he'll play. I don't pick the team, but there's no reason to think why not. There's not an injury issue, honestly. He's got a little bit of an aggravation problem, same as Foden's got, Maddison's got. It's not a big deal. Would I captain him? If you think he's best choice, crack on. Yeah, go for it. Andrew Sands says, morning handsome, trying to get them goggles back on and get yourself a trip to Specsavers booked in. So much Brighton Brentford single game week blank talk. People have taken their eye off the bit. Foden, back-to-back double figure hauls. Okay, he blanks next game week, but has great fixtures from 29 onwards. All right, crack on, mate. Callum Clutterbuck says, would you bench boost with Kepa, Zinchenko, Chilwell and Watkins? No. Wouldn't. Because that in itself would look much better in 29, no? Oliver Jacobs says, how do you think the Leeds game goes today? I've seen you predict 0-2, but what kind of game can we expect? Can expect a game completely dominated by Brighton possession-wise. I think Leeds will potentially not press Brighton in the way others have. Probably be sensible just to sit off and let their centre-backs and double pivot do what they want with the ball and engage when it comes into the higher phases of the pitch. I think Brighton just got a bit too much quality at the moment, Oliver. It's not meant disrespectfully in any way at all. I just think they're fucking good. Dixie says, play Martinelli or Shaw. Tough one. I'll probably play Shaw, to be honest. Martin White says, hi James, bench Maddison or Saka? I'd bench Maddison. Luke Wilson says, hi James, start Martinelli or Maddison? I'd probably start Martinelli. Parky says, Harry Kane not in top 10 captaincy picks. Who should he go in instead of? And Mbumo is Stupinan? Yeah, fine, if that's what you think. Certainly wouldn't be my captain this week. No way. Golazzo says, which two of the Brighton mids I get, and Darwin and Son or Salah and Kane? Whoever you fancy, mate. Look, copy me, right? I've gone McAllister and Mitoma. There you go. So you can blame me if it goes wrong. Darwin over Son, yeah. Salah over Kane, yeah. There you go. Except, I don't know what you're doing in game week 28 because Tottenham play and Liverpool don't. So, the reality is your strategy defines what you're doing. Excuse me. Chris Jargo says, hi James, surely if you have a decent bench, as many will, is the bench boost a good call when considering the time gap to game week 29? Listen, I know there's many going to bench boost this week. That's absolutely fine. I don't believe mine is that great, personally. If you believe you've got a bench, I would say, look at it and go, does that score 16? Take my bench in 29, right? And I realise it's a long time to go. But if I sit there and I've got 4 doublers and they all blank, I'm still probably hitting about 16. Put it this way, it can't be terrible. It's not going to be like free. How many times have we all looked at a good bench and then in a single game and suddenly, say you got Odegaard, right? Say you got Odegaard and I think that rules out a bench boost this week if you got Odegaard. Because if he doesn't play, if he's still ill, suddenly, you've only got 3 on the part of the bench boost. And there's 3 fixtures for you there potentially, whilst I'm looking at 8 in 29. So it depends a lot on what you've got. So I think something like an Odegaard would make, I've got to sell him. That's generally what I'd be thinking. If I was bench boosting this week, I've got to sell him. Because I couldn't bear to just have the 3 on the bench. So it depends what you've got. But for many, I know many will bench boost this week. And that's perfectly viable. Absolutely fine. It's not the case for me. Ant TJ says, hi James, hope you're well. Do you think Kepa and Ward works as a goalkeeper combination? Not planning to free hit game with 28 and will bench boost 29. Thanks, James. Yeah, it's absolutely fine, mate. They've obviously both got the doubles 29. Going forward, you'll obviously pick Kepa most weeks over Ward. So, I mean, it's fine. It keeps money in the bank for elsewhere in your team as well. Stephen P says, hey James, who would you pick on wildcard between a Villa-Chelsea defender and Castagna? I feel like Leicester have more to play for than Villa, or even Chelsea will still be in the Champions League. Personally, there's more benching headaches to come further in the season, so priority probably for me will be Ben Chilwell. There's every chance I might buy him this week. Also think better double than Villa. I think Leicester probably have the best double, but if you want a Leicester defensive asset, I'd be looking at having Ward as one of the 2 goalkeepers, to be honest. Castagna at the moment is playing left back. And since Tete arrived, they've stopped with this where they were really powering on down the right-hand side. And there's every chance Castagna's going to stay at left back and he's playing behind Barnes. I know Barnes might not play today, but he's going to be borderline. So, not massively keen. Make a case to go fast. Cheaper, honestly. Lee Thompson says, hi James, start one of Maddison, Trippier or Martinelli. God. Martinelli. Just over trips. Harron says Zaha or Salah over the next 3 game weeks. I'm on wildcard this week. You got an extra fixture for Zaha now, extra fixture for Zaha next week. I'd be very tempted to go Zaha and move to Salah in 29. Consider that. And TJ says, and is there any preference between picking Dan Burn or Botman? Thanks, James. No, not really. Dan Burn's slightly more likely to get an attacking return than Botman, but it's not a lot in it. If you're looking at the bench and dilemmas are just replaced for the exact same position, mate. Alan Cronin says, hi James, have 5 players doubling and covered for next week. Would you bench boost with a bench of Ward, Botman, Ferguson, White? No, I don't think that's particularly any better than mine, to be totally honest. Similar, isn't it? White v Gabriel. You've got Botman, it's the same. Ward instead of Kepa, and you've got Ferguson's double over Iheanacho. I don't think there's a huge amount of difference. It's a no for me. Stan 44 says, hi James, start Watkins or Odegaard. I'm hearing his illness won't be an issue. Be careful sharing sources that may not be true, but I would expect he'll probably be fine as well. I would play Odegaard, however, yeah, as per the benching dilemmas. I am keeping an eye on a couple of potential sources for Liverpool news, guys. If I do have anything, I will share it with you. And we have in the past have had some Liverpool news quite close to kick off. Personally, I think it'll just be unchanged from the team that beat Manchester United last week would be my expectation. If I get anything, I'll share it, but not particularly expecting it. Be cautious. Because of the weather rumours around Leeds and Liverpool being the early kick-off, the FPL site may be a little bit busier than usual today. Just be a little bit cautious of that, guys. So I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't leave it any later than 5-2 at the very latest to be making transfers. Capsize says, hi James, you don't think Spurs keeps a clean sheet this game with bench boosting with Forster on the bench? that we've kept clean sheet in the last 4 home games. There's every chance, mate. Forest don't score often away from home. All logic would say clean sheet, but I've got a vision of the game today, and it visions Nottingham Forest going in front, to be totally honest. GP says Brighton defender from -4 if it means benching Odegaard. I'm thinking no, as I have already used bench boost. So the Brighton defender probably will be benched in 29. Only makes sense if Odegaard doesn't play. Brighton defender, if it means benching Odegaard, I'm thinking I think I'd still do it. Remember as well, GP, right? You might say, oh, I'm going to bench that Brighton defender in 29. I'd say with those fixtures, Brentford at home, Bournemouth away, you probably don't want to. And the second thing is, what brilliant cover if you get an injury. Brilliant. So I would still do it. Alexander Vermeil says, hi James, have Tony and Mitoma, but considering Captain Rashford, is that overthinking? No, I think he's the best of the single game week players, and if you're not keen on Brighton or Brentford, then that's absolutely fine, mate. Like, he's not a terrible pick. None of them are, right? Haaland, I mean, I wouldn't Kane, but even Kane with the fixture, Rashford, Salah, Saka, they're all fine. All absolutely fine and perfectly reasonable for this week. Personally, I think there's 4 very good options from Brentford Brighton that I would rather go with personally. But if you want to go with Rashford, incredible home record, playing arguably the weakest defence in the league, sure, crack on, mate, it's fine. Abdullah says, who should I play, Zaha or Saka? I would personally play the double. I would go with Wilf. Luis says, bench booster, Pope, Trips, Kane, Botman. That one's stronger. Much stronger. But there is a big gamble in there. And that is if Wolves score. That's it, isn't it? If Wolves don't score, that's a brilliant bench boost. If Wolves do score, it's not. So it depends on your confidence in that. And are you okay with that? It's horrible if Wolves score. Properly horrible. But that's a much stronger one. I'd be tempted with that. Especially with Harry's fixture as well. I'd be tempted with that. That's a strong one. That's one of the strongest ones I've seen. The fact I'm back in Newcastle for a clean sheet arguably says, yeah, do it. That in itself with no bonus is 18. Put Trips bonus on top, it's probably 20, 21. Even a Kane blank, 23. I mean, that's amazing if you get it. So, for a gamble perspective, I don't mind it. Can you deal with the consequence if Wolves score? Simple as that. Galazza says, thanks, James. Always love your content. Great work. Very welcome. Thank you. Amy F says, just joined. Says, sorry if already answered. Horner to Tony from -4. Cheers. I'm going to say yes, comfortably. Patrick Cordart says, hey, James, I'm on my way to another new away stadium for me this season. Spurs. I don't think Forest get anything, but you have us to score and no Kane in top 10 captains. Shall I be more confident? It could be very poisonous down at White Hart Lane today. I think we're probably quite lucky that we're playing you. It's not meant disrespectfully, but as you've highlighted, your away record's not good. I think probably half the teams in the league would come and play us today and beat us. I think, with the circumstances, it's going to be pretty ugly today if it doesn't go well, honestly. John Bailey says, I'm Bumo captain over Tony, or is he enough of a differential as it is? And just go Tony, leading my mini league and defending my position. Then you captain Tony, don't you? If you're defending. Nicky Kassam says, have a stab at who might be the highest scoring player blank game at 28. Saka. Why not? Ali Max says, on captaincy, if Brighton and Brentford keep clean sheets, your Brighton midfielders get 4 points more than Tony, so he needs to score just to be even. McAllister's my captain. Good luck. Oystone says, you have Trippier over Chilwell over Botman. Yep, correct. Well spotted. Chim says, Odegaard or Martinelli on wildcard. Probably be tempted to go Martinelli at this moment because of the small Odegaard doubt, right? Rui Vicente, if free hit 28, should I transfer in today the risers or doesn't affect team value? That it can give you a stronger team in terms of value for next week for free hit, but you're not going to need it. Honestly, if you picked the 11 most expensive players, which you probably wouldn't want to do, it's probably affordable. The only premium really next week's Kane, isn't it? Sterling, if you want to force in like Sterling, Saka, it's going to be affordable, so it shouldn't matter really. Nasu says, predicted Spurs attack for next 2 game weeks. Difficult enough to predict today. I presume it would be same 3 as Wednesday. That's the first choice 3. But I think it's very up in the air at the moment. Depends on what Conte's reaction is to Richarlison as well. My honest advice is don't bother. If that's why you're asking, is for fantasy. Don't bother. Oystein says, do you think Steele will outscore Kepa this week? Yes. Badman says, would you host Match of the Day if asked? No, I stand with Gary. Chris Briggs says, hello James, no question, just want to say love the content as always. Thank you very much. Chris Davis 88 says, hi James, only got one Brighton mid, Matoma. Would you sell Odegaard for McAllister / Marshall hold? Have Maddison on bench for 28? Yep, I'd go for it, mate. I'd make the move. Jonathan says, presenters have now pulled out of doing Football Focus today. This is blown up for the BBC. Shame, they deserve it. Paul Robertson says, thinking of the Villa double up. Watkins and Cash as 2 free transfers, 28 thoughts. Like it. Galazza says, sorry James, question wasn't clear on a wildcard bench boost 29. This week I need one asset that plays in 28 to have 10 players. So I can either have Darwin and Son or Salah and Kane. Which should I choose? With Salah and Kane as a combination, if you can afford it. Stephen Carson, would you bench boost Ward, Martinelli, Botman and Mings? No. LP says, bring in Estupinan or Mitoma for -4. No Brighton defensive, but should I just forget it and focus on the attack? I'm not keen on having all 3 Brighton players. And the reason for that is they'll be very difficult to sell. And especially when we get to 29, you got Rashford, obviously, Salah, Fernandes, Maddison. The Manchester City players will come back on radar from 30, the likes of Phil Foden, etc. You still got to consider the Arsenal players, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. You're blocking a bit. So just be cautious of that. It's one of the reasons originally I only went with one Brighton offensive. Decided with the Sanchez issue, I had to change it. Sean Kelly says, I live in Leeds. Weather nice today, so game definitely on. Yeah, I've got no concerns. Owen Jones says, I'm benching Trippier because rival has double Newcastle defence. Let's go Wolves. I wish you luck. Liam Humphreys. Remember, you don't need to chase him one day, though. Liam Humphreys says, morning, benches are tricky this week. I've got to bench Kane or Bruno Fernandes. Kane bench for now. I would never bench Harry Kane in any game ever. Ever. Honestly. That would be straightforward for me. Would bench Fernandes, personally. If that's what you feel, it's perfectly fine. I would, but as much as I doubt my team a lot, never doubt Harry Kane. And 100% I would play him. I can never foresee a circumstance where I would bench him, ever. Peter says, I'm 60 points away from the number 1 in my mini league. I've used my wildcard and triple captain. He's still got all his chips available. Do I give up or continue playing? You keep playing, Peter. Absolutely. One big week like game week 29, you smash out 150 or something, and he doesn't. You're in, mate. Eshen says, play Martinelli or Saka. Saka, Owen Jones, you should apply for the match of the day role, James. You'd do great. I appreciate the compliment. Badman says, play Zinchenko or Odegaard to be Odegaard. Alexander says, thanks, James. Keep up the great work. Good luck this week. You're very welcome. Thank you, mate. Ren says, hi, James. Hope I'm not too late to the party, but I have to play one of Zinchenko, Chilwell, Botman. Would have been nice bench boost, but Odegaard, Wellness and Sanchez benching cancelled out. Yeah, I hear you, mate. From that, probably I played Chilwell. I think from that, yeah, upside. Thank you, Jack Tasker. Appreciate that, mate. That's answering your question for Reese Plays. Cheers. P. Macca, great stream as ever, James. Thank you. You're very welcome. James says, Evan Ferguson worth a start for benching Trippier, White and Odegaard. If I had Ferguson, start him this week. Yeah, sure. Yeah, start him. It's not a Brighton player that I'd own that I wouldn't start this week. Unless like I had Levi Colwill sitting there forever and he may even come back in. NG says, going double Newcastle defence this week. One on bench as preparation for next week instead of Brighton defender. Am I stupid? No, it's part of your strategy. Tommy Moody says, surely there's someone out there, triple captain Ben Mee. Oh, don't die. There'll be someone out there, triple captain Joshua Silva, mate. Coven Wally says, start Odegaard as Zinchenko. Odegaard. Kai W says, should I transfer Trent to Henry for a hit or do I keep Trent? Unless you're free hitting next week, I'd be very tempted to make the move. If you're free hitting next week, then I wouldn't do it. Coven says start Saka or Flicks. I don't know who Flicks is. Yes, I do. João Felix. I'd start Saka. Kai W, I've covered it once, mate, and I don't need to see your question again. I'll either get to them or I won't. Peter says, thank you for the motivation. Game week 29, I will get 150 points. Peter, you may get more. Andy Max says, start Chilwell or Zinchenko, mate. Cheers. Chilwell. Rowan says, James, would you start Odegaard or Willie Nonto? Definitely Odegaard, mate. and you're very welcome. James says, thanks, good luck this game with James. Edward Morris, start Odegaard and Martinelli. That's a repetitive one, isn't it? Martinelli, Reese plays, says, opinions on Haaland on a wild card. Wouldn't bother. I'd set myself up to get him back in game week 30. 7 minutes to deadline, guys, and I'm going to go and have a Kit Kat because I've got through all the questions. Cheers. This is the point, guys, that I would not be relying on the FPL website too late today. Make your transfers. Get them locked in. I'll have a little check for you to see if there's any Liverpool news. But as I've got to the end of the chat, I suspect if there was anything, someone probably would have put it in. Team News and Ticks, who's very reliable, says no shocks with the Liverpool lineups. All decent FPL assets start. Thank you very much, Chris Tellers, for making me aware of that. As expected. So I'm not saying it'd be an unchanged team, but yeah, there's Darwin is playing, Salah's playing, Robertson, Trent, Alisson, Van Dijk, they're all playing. That would suggest anyone of any interest from an FPL perspective is playing. So with 5 minutes to deadline, guys, make sure you're getting them transfers done and locked in. For those joining late, captaincy preference for me is Ivan Toney. That's who I'm going with. Doesn't mean that's what you should necessarily do. I think the three Brighton options are all very, very good. You could put a piece of paper between all of them. I think they're all great assets. Go with your preference. I've not gone looking at data or anything like that particularly. So play it your way as ever is the advice, guys. Andy Max says, best of luck for the game week, James. Thank you. Edward Morris says, thank you, mate. George Nibbs, thanks as always, James. I'm not really having a Kit Kat. Paul Robertson says, thanks, James. Tony Evanson says, do you have any pre-match superstitions? Great content as always, James. Hit the like button. Not as such, but I tend to try and do, like, if we win a game, when I go to the next game, I try and do the same things, like where I enter the ground, stuff that I eat. I try and do similar things, but not as such. Like, where I enter the ground is not going to affect the result. But I think, subconsciously we do have these things in our mind. Today, I don't care. I'll do whatever, right? And if we win today and it goes well, then whatever I do today, when we play Brighton in 3 weeks' time, I'll try and do the same thing. That's generally how it goes. Stu M, locked and loaded. McAllister captain. Very best of luck to you. John Kale says, cheers, James. Great stream. Craving a Kit Kat. No, sorry. Kai W says, if I don't transfer Trent to Henry, I will transfer Trent to Share, which is better. Look, I would want to go with Henry with the extra doubler now, mate. Would be my take. I'd gamble for the big hole. Emmanuel says, should I bench Haaland for Trippier? No, I'd play the big man. James says, what transfer did you make? I went -4. Sanchez to Raya and Odegaard to Mitoma. And Odegaard's flag had nothing to do with that, by the way. Absolutely nothing. That was the one I had in mind at the start of the week anyway. And to me, it was all about the Sanchez information. Scotty Slud says Saka and Martinez. Saka. Joseph says, is Stupinan will be in the bench or not? Why? There's no reason that he won't start, mate. Kartik says, hi James, how you doing? Non-FPL, in your opinion, which are the 4 biggest clubs in the world on heritage alone? Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, and then toss a coin between Bayern Munich and Liverpool. I had that question last week, I think, actually. It's got to be Real and Barca. Probably Bayern Munich and Manchester United, I think. And then Liverpool next on that, I think. It's really tough to leave Liverpool out of that, but I think that's probably the right answer. Rail 3 says, thanks for the stream, James. You're very welcome. Still Express 76 post deadline. What are your expectations and hopes on the Spurs rebuild starting in the summer? Let me hold that off for 3 minutes just in case there's some more FPL stuff as we approach deadline. Reese says, good stream, James. Super advice. Thank you. Oystein says, thank you, James. Good luck to you too. Tommy Moody, which area do you sit stand at Tottenham, mate? I am row 6 of the east upper, right in line with the penalty area, basically, of the home end. Reese Plays says, went Darwin for Haaland on the wild card. Emmanuel Topo, Watkins over Saka. No, I'd play Saka, mate. Heather says, thanks for the content, James. Good luck this week. You too, mate. Rui Vicente says, thanks, James. Already in preparation for Game Week 39. We need that stream again. I will be at Game Week 39. I won't be playing this year. That was my decision, by the way. Nobody else's. But I'll be there. I'll be taking up a little bit of a coaching capacity on the day instead. Edward Morris says, Man City #1. Yeah, okay, mate. Giraffe 123 starts Ward-Prowse or Saka. I'd go with the doubler. Ben Keane, Chilwell or Cash. Chilwell just for me on that. Tight, Chilwell. Both very good options, I think, going forward. Smalled out on cash. I mean, it's smalled out on Chilwell in terms of minutes as well, to be totally honest. But yeah, if it was me right now, I'd go for Ben Chilwell. We are about a minute and a half or so, I think, from deadline, guys. Make sure, as ever, you're getting your teams locked in. Kai says, if I would get Shah in 28, I don't get Henry now for Trent. Kai, listen, with the best respect, mate, I don't know how many different ways you can ask this question without pissing me off. Just do what you want with it, mate. It's like a minute to deadline. If you haven't made your mind up by now, you don't really need my opinion now. Just go for it. Do what you want with it. I've given my opinion on it personally. Just go for it. Go for Henry. Smash it in. Submit. Less than 60 seconds. Reese says, if you're managing that team, went up the bookies. Oh, if you're managing the game week 39, I'm not managing the team. But I'll be involved and helping out. You know where I can help out is where I helped out when I played. It's not my ability because the legs don't work anymore. It's in here. Patrick Gordart says, just changed my mind last minute. Odegaard to Mitoma -4 and captain him over Tony. Thanks for the stream. Enjoy the match. Good luck. Kai says, thanks, mate. Love your content. Thank you. Very good. Emmanuel Topo, you happy with Richarlison's interview? A little bit unprofessional, but he's right. He's been shit. The season's been shit. Don't think he should do it, but he's obviously unhappy at the moment. And I think, look, it shows that he was a bit upset the other night. We all were. It's fair enough. I'm going to say, guys, deadline has passed. I wish you the very, very best of luck for Game Week 27. Trust in your decisions and let the Game Week, which remember lasts all the way to Wednesday, take its course and enjoy. Whether it's good or bad, whatever the results are, try and enjoy the weekend. You all made your decisions for a reason. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like on your way out. Disappear. Thank you very much. And we'll hang around for 15 minutes or so and answer any non-FPL. I think we've had enough. Any non-FPL questions I'm happy to cover over the next 15 minutes or so. We'll come back to that Tottenham question in a sec. If you'd like to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Support the show because you want to support the content and support free streams like these, not because you want to become a better FPL manager, because I'll probably answer your FPL questions here on this stream. In any case, do it because you want to support the show, or you'd like additional content like our Q&A on Monday, Money in Football Tuesday, Tottenham Wednesday, Quiz Thursday, or our Game Week 28 preview on Friday. For the freely available content, I can tell you it'll be Game Week review on. It will return to Monday this week, myself and Suj. Tuesday will be Clash of the Correspondents, Chelsea versus Everton with Gary Mantle and Sean Norton. Wednesday will be our Sky Fantasy podcast. Thursday will be Clash of Correspondents again, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth with Lee Jackson and Neil Grover. On Friday, Ask James stream will be most likely 9:30 a.m. is the plan, because it is a Friday deadline next week, and the deadline stream therefore will be at 5:30 p.m. UK time on this channel. So 2 streams planned for you next Friday. One first thing in the morning, which will be quite chilled, and then the deadline stream as this is a bit more frantic, let's say, with all the usual works and all. Again, if you'd like to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. As said, if you've got any non-FPL questions, drop them in the chat or cover them over the next 15 minutes or so. If you came just for the FPL, smash a like, hit the sub. Have a great weekend. Ciao for now. Right, who asked me the Tottenham question? Can't find it now. Still Express 76. Sorry, mate. Post deadline, what are your expectations and then hopes for Spurs rebuild starting in the summer? The first thing is I want us to go back to playing good football. Honestly, enough for counter-attacking football now. We play some top teams, we play a City or something, we play counter-attacking football, fine, accept that. I watched the Tottenham team that dominated, could go to Anfield, go to the Etihad, stand up to these teams, primarily because it had Moussa Dembele, and take these teams on. I'm nervous about a Pochettino return without a Moussa Dembele type player. And it concerns me. He certainly would not be my first choice for the job. That would be Roberto De Zerbi's. We have to get a manager in that wants to go back to attractive football. It literally has to happen. It's more important than trophies, finishing top 4, anything. It's just sad. I have no anticipation for the game today. Absolutely none. Like, not bothered. So what? I'm competing for top 4. Okay, great. There's literally nothing particularly that can come good of today unless they play really well and go and win 4-5-0. There's no victory today as such. It's just go and get the 3 points, win, leave. That's it. There's no joy to the day. I don't want to go out and have a drink and meet friends before the game. I don't want to do it after the game. I just want to go to the game, come home. That's it. That's got to change. It's got to change. You've got to look forward to going again. And that's more important than trophies or anything like that. It really, really is. So I want a team that I can get behind and support, not a team that waits for the opposition just to make mistakes. So that's what I want more than anything. The squad needs a massive rebuild. Huge. I think Tottenham should very much consider selling their big sellable assets. So Kane, Son, Richarlison, I think should all be considered for sales. Someone will give our money back for Richarlison. And I think Tottenham need a rebuild. And that might mean that we have to have a difficult year next year where we finish worse than where we are now, but the football improves and there becomes, to be honest, like what's happened with Arsenal, there becomes a vision of where it's going to. That's way more important. It's way more important. There's no point sitting here thinking Tottenham are going to have an amazing transfer window and win the league next year. Like, it's not fucking happening. Can we build something like what Arsenal did or like we did previously under Pochettino, where it becomes something of a progress? That's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do. That means reinvesting again in young players. You know, there's players in that squad who are the wrong side age-wise. There are some that are a very good age and can still improve. But that's why, like, to be honest, if Tottenham get a very serious offer for Son, who's been shit all season, we should consider it. We can't press for the front with Harry Kane. If Manchester United come in with a serious offer and he wants to go, I think it should be considered. I don't want Kane to go, of course I don't. I want Sonny to go. I want him to rediscover his form. I spoke about this at length on the Ask James stream yesterday, which I'd recommend having a listen back to. But yeah, there's a lot that needs changing at my football club, and it's no overnight fix. I mean, if we finish top 4, it's not because we've done great, it's because of the failures of others. And we're still in with a chance. By the way, that doesn't include Newcastle as a failure, right? Newcastle have done very well this year. Right, let's get into the non-FPL stuff. FPL Scope says, thanks, James. Appreciate you. I appreciate you too, mate. Thanks very much. Jack Tasker says, just to let you know, when you said there's 1.5 minutes to deadline, it was 11 a.m. real time. To be honest, it's probably there's a delay because of the graphics. The stream doesn't actually come through live. I think it's around about a 45-second delay. So fair enough. And I just happen to be looking at a clock that for me says 10:59. So fair enough. But thank you. JF says, would you take Thomas Frank at Spurs? I really like Thomas Frank. Really, really do. I think he's done wonders at Brentford. I would not want him as Tottenham's manager. Stylistically is way more important to me. And look, we don't know if he could maybe offer that at Tottenham. I suspect not, though. Not at the moment. So I think he's an amazing coach. I think he's done really well. I think Brentford are primarily where they are in the league because of him. He's just not the profile of manager that I want right now. It wouldn't be. No. I'm surprised his name's getting mentioned in conversation, to be honest. Although they've had a brilliant season. And I'm sure he will get good offers. And maybe he's not someone, if you said to me in the future, would you be unhappy? No, not necessarily. If he progresses, I think not now. Not for me. Healy's Vid says, bottled Mitoma captain went Tony. VL says, will Conte be sacked if Spurs lose at home to Forest? Yes. Yeah, he'll be gone by Monday if we lose today. Because it'll be ridiculous in the ground. The stadium will make it very clear. He's come out swinging against the fans, right? So you do that and then you lose at home to teams like Nottingham Forest. You're done, mate. So yeah, they'll sack him if we lose today. And it could be poisonous enough that I wouldn't be totally shocked if that did happen. Emmanuel Topo says, really happy with your content. All the best for Gameweek 27. Thank you, Emmanuel. Good luck. Ian says, evening from Melbourne. Great content as always. How many times have you rewatched both legs of the 84 UEFA Cup final? Not many. Have I? Yes, absolutely. I think we had on a VHS the second leg, I think, maybe. And I remember watching there used to be a channel, ESPN Classic, showed all of the first leg. So I definitely have watched it all back. Not many times. In terms of the highlights, probably a lot. The whole game, not much. Probably once or twice, to be totally honest. I was a baby, right? So I don't. It's something before my time. Wouldn't be any different to rewatching, say, the 72 UEFA Cup final, to be honest. Tommy Moody says, who should Spurs go for when Conte inevitably goes? Roberto De Zerbi, been very clear on that. It's my choice by miles. Respect Brighton's position if they don't want to let him go. Respect his position if he doesn't want to come. I think he guarantees me an attractive football team that has the capability to dominate. When you look at their underlying numbers, and as well as what I watch with my eyes, they are performing right now like a team that will finish in the top 4. They are excelling. They are brilliant to watch. They dominate. They're not frightened of anybody. They'll go, they'll come to Tottenham in game week 30, and I promise you, there's every chance they will beat us, and they may well do it comfortably. But they've got more difficult fixtures. They've still got to play City, United. They will stand up to these teams and play their way. And occasionally they'll take a smack because teams will set up to counter-attack them and will exploit. Some of the good teams in some games will do that. And you will still get some infrequency with some of their results. But I think they're great. He would guarantee me attractive football and control. And that's what I want. He honestly guarantees it to me. Absolutely guarantees it. So I'd love to have him on board. I don't think the squad is particularly set up necessarily to his style, but I think that there's things that he could definitely do with it, with the likes of Romero, Bentancur and Pape Mate Sarr or Bissouma, for example, where very quickly I think he could implement what he wants. So by miles, he would be my choice. Honestly, it's the only one really I want. There's a lot of good managers out, and someone mentioned Luis Enrique to me yesterday. Would be a very good choice, for example. There are many worse options than Pochettino. Although I said I think Pochettino would be a mistake, I would probably rather try him again than Thomas Frank at the moment. So there is a line. But yeah, De Zerbi is the one that I want quite clearly. Immortal Technique. Planet FPL Cup starts this week, James. Woohoo! It's exciting, isn't it? Good luck. Shifo says, I've seen a lot of negative comments about how FPL is affecting mental health, so I'm going to share my success story. Wildcard game with 20 at 2.2 million rank, 7 green arrows later, I'm 110k. Key is enjoy it and not letting it affect you too much. If anybody can't, then it's better not to play it. I'm not sure you sharing your success story is going to make anyone feel any better, Shifo, but thank you all the same, mate. Yeah, look, I'll repeat what I said on Tuesday's pod, and I mentioned it on the Ask James stream yesterday as well. My DMs are open for people to talk, and they will always be open. I'm not interested if people want to ask me about who should I pick. This is what this stream is for. I'm not particularly interested in, hey, James, what should I do in my team this week? I'm not bothered. I haven't really got time. But I will absolutely always find the time to talk to someone who wants help with how they feel or anything like that. Always. It doesn't matter if I've never heard from you before, if you're a random name, if you want my advice on real life matters in terms of how you're feeling and how I might be able to help. I'm not promising I can, but maybe you just want to talk to a friendly face. Always I will accept that request. If someone I don't know sends me a screenshot with their team, I don't even look at it, I just delete it. Honestly. The Woodstock Chris says, thank you, mate. Good luck. And to you too. Addy Tour says, now Conte is back to 1 game a week. Will the attacking style at the end of last season come back? I fucking hope so. And it may still be, Addy, that he's the best chance for us finishing in top 4. It may well be. Yeah, there's every chance possibly 1 game a week they'll start playing well. It probably doesn't start with today, unfortunately. But yeah, it could be. It could be possible. Jonathan says, watched Spurs the other night and I'm almost convinced that Kulusevski to Sanchez sub was sabotaged by Conte, even though you were down to 10. If that was horse racing, there would be an inquiry. Jonathan, I spoke about this on our Tottenham podcast on Patreon on Thursday, and I won't elaborate on it too much. I was probably the only person in the stadium who didn't have a problem with that substitution. I actually understood it. I really understood it. Yeah, because you had Kulusevski playing right back, Porro playing centre back, and the right hand side of the pitch had been working well. And he had to take Kulusevski or Son off to rebalance the team. And I think he looked at it and went, well, if we score, I need Son's pace on the counter. Because obviously if we did equalise, then we was going to have to play on the counter. So I understood it. Had to put a centre back on. It was also playing so high, we needed some recovery pace, which Sanchez has, because Leao looked like he was going to tear us apart at any moment. So, yeah, I understood it. You can look at it and say, you need a goal, and I don't disagree with that, but actually, it was all over the shop. All over the shop. It needed a little bit of stability. I think Sanchez doesn't bring stability. I get all that. Could there have been better options? Yes, maybe, but also consider Dyer's suspension. Romero had fucked himself. Emerson went off, clearly we now know, with a knock as well. Perisic has already been taken off. The balance of the team was all over the shop. Would I say, oh, I agree with it? No, not necessarily. Did I understand it? Yeah, that wasn't the worst thing I saw the other night. Daniel Cullerton says, James, when Spurs moved stadium, did you get to choose what seat you wanted, or was your seat picked at random? No, I got to choose. It was in a race. And it was one of the most stressful experiences of my life, and I'm not joking, because you pick a seat and that's it forever, isn't it, if you get it wrong. It wasn't just picking for me, I was picking for mum and dad as well. We knew where we wanted to go, and it was that block. The aim was always as closest to front row as possible without it being front row. So, yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a really good seat. I cannot complain at all. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant seat. So, yes, I chose it. Kailash says, what's top of your non-football bucket list? Apologies have been asked before. No need to apologise anyway. Non-football bucket list. I don't know if I have a bucket list that doesn't involve football. Would be things with my son. Excuse me. I can't think I have certain. When I'm thinking about it, I think, I'll take him to Spurs. Like it all comes back round to football in one way or another, probably. So, God, that's kind of painfully depressing, isn't it? I have a bucket list of absolutely nothing that doesn't involve football. Yeah, that probably speaks a lot about me, to be honest. Suleiman, I'm skipping that, mate, because we ain't doing FPL now, but good luck. Nigel Sam says, wild card, thanks for your answer on what teams double 34, 37 help me decide on my chip strategy. Okay, good luck. Avis says, James, why do you wear the headphones? Don't see other content creators wear any while on live streams. Is it for noise cancellation, or do you have some music played on? No. I'm sure those who've listened to me regularly enough will know a couple of things. One, you will occasionally hear my son or my wife shouting at my son, or you may hear traffic because I am next to a main road, essentially. So it's just from a noise perspective for me, basically. And I wear them when I do the Zooms with Suj. Also, because I'm quite vain and I care about my appearance, I also think I look better with them on. But the number one reason is sound. So I can hear other stuff, but just not to the same extent, and I can focus more on this. It's more about, cancelling sound a little bit. VL says, what about Bielsa? It'd be fun, wouldn't it? It's short-term thinking. Tottenham need to think long-term. You know Bielsa is a fun year and then something else. Atul says, long question, but for each Premier League club, which one player represents their club, i.e. is the face of the club, in your opinion? Curious if it's just the best player or there's other factors for your answers. Okay. All right, let's have a quick stab at this. Saka. I say Tyrone Mings. Probably Dominic Solanke. Tony. Lewis Dunk. I think you'll find I'll end up with a lot of captains here, probably. Chelsea. In a weird way, still Mason Mount, maybe. Just because it's the connection between the two. But I guess probably the right answer for that now maybe is Reece James. Zaha for Palace. Everton, Christ almighty. Pickford. Mitrovic. Let's say Tyler Adams for Leeds, actually. Maddison. Salah. Haaland. Rashford. Guimaraes. Johnson or Gibbs-White's close, one or the other. Possibly Gibbs-White, actually. Ward-Prowse, Kane, Rice and Neves. There you go. Matthew Hogben says, hello James, hope you're well. Sky captain today. I'm probably going to go Haaland, I think. Tommy Moody, in an absolutely mental world, could Brentford finish above Tottenham this season? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely they could. VL says, I don't understand how Spence got 0 chances at Spurs. To be honest, when he comes back, he's going to be third choice again anyway, so that probably may not change. Keith Riley says, good morning, James. Good luck for today, and you too. Steve Greenwell says, James, talk about the space more. The people need to hear it. I'm so happy for you all. What difference versatility will this allow? Oh, the studio space. Sorry, I didn't understand the question at first. I thought you meant the stars. It allows us to do a lot of things. So, look, firstly, it's our own space. There's things that we can do with it in terms of we can let other people use it and stuff, potentially. It will, over time, definitely improve the quality of what you say. Difficult to make quality of podcasts better, etc. as such. But I think particularly some of the video stuff I do for the patrons and that, very excited about things I can do for Talking Tactics. If I can have a camera over my head in the way, say, Tifo do it, for example, that's a desire of mine to get to that stage where I can do something off the cuff, 10 minutes post, off the cuff post, 10 minutes. I'm really excited about that prospect. It's the area, it's the space, it's ours. We can potentially look at multiple camera formats. So again, these are things I think it's not going to happen overnight, but further down the line. So we can look at kind of cutting cameras where it's, you know, me when I speak, Suj when he speaks, shot of both of us, whatever. Opens up the prospect in terms of different styles. So, you know, sofa, table, standing. There's loads of different things that we can do. And like with anything, we'll try that we've done in the past. We will always try and improve, and we will try some new things, no doubt about it. So at the moment it's new, it's about exploring ideas. The number one job is to start labeling stuff and organising the room out. The studio is not going to get used straight away, absolutely not. But it is something that you're going to see it this year, absolutely, definitely. So yeah, I think it could potentially be a big game changer for us, and we're very excited about it. Daniel Cullerton says, in your opinion, what caused Dele Alli's downfall? Hamstring injuries. That's the biggest thing, honestly, and I'll die on that hill. Isaac Stairs says, not sure if you've seen, James, but Real Madrid have put out a comunicado official relating to a meeting to determine Barcelona's punishments. Could be interesting. My God. That football club. Oh dear, I'm going to have to pod on them again, and I see they got done last night, so I've not read the full accounts of the story, but it sounds like there's money gone to this referee head, and what have you done? What have you done? Yo says, what about Tuchel? Do you think it's impossible? I think Thomas Tuchel is an outstanding tactical coach. I really do. I think he's one of the best in the world, actually. But I think it's nothing to do with the Chelsea thing. I just think he's another one where reality is a bit of a dickhead and people fall out of him after a certain amount of time. And we've got to stop this win now mentality. We've got to do what's best for us. And that's building a project for me. And Thomas Tuchel, I think, unfortunately, I think back to a conversation I had with Ted Moore, Rotation FPL, on a podcast we did when Lampard had been sacked and it looked like Tuchel was going to get appointed. And we said it's not a long term, right? It's a short term thing. Tottenham got to stop this win now shit. In terms of the best tactical manager they could go and get, he's right at the top of the list. I think it'd be a wrong appointment for us right now. If he got appointed, would I be like, oh my God, I'm so angry? No, not at all. Because I think he's an outstanding tactician. But not the right fit for us right now. P3 to Scoos says, I don't know which big club he goes in a couple of seasons, but Van Nistelrooy is going to be interesting manager next season. Yeah, it's doing good things at PSV Eindhoven. I think names to keep an eye on, certainly. FPL Scope says, James, could you just explain quickly what extra content we get when we subscribe to your Patreon? Yeah, sure. So there's 3 tier levels. There's basic, intermediate, and advanced. Basic, you get access to my planner, which has got about 10 different sheets, fixture difficulties. It's difficult to explain without showing you visuals. Rolling 4-week difficulty. There's tables for Sky, games per day, projected fixtures for doubles. It's fucking all sorts. There's championship sheet, UCL fantasy sheet. There's lots going on there. So you get that via Slack. That's the main thing that you get from basic tier. Is you join Slack with the 700 other patrons, number of our correspondents, and you don't miss a trick in there. I don't need to do anything. If anything even remotely newsworthy gets mentioned, it gets posted. We have individual channels for every club. We have channels for specific games like Gaffer, UCL Fantasy. There's a cricket channel for the guys to have a discussion. There's F1 channel. There's FPL, there's Sky FF. Specific channels for you name it, we've got it. The EFL, grassroots football, world football, name it, it's there. And I think that's an amazing place. And the patrons, have, rather than me and Surge, have made that place theirs now. And everybody's very welcoming and very helpful. There's also good banter in there as well, but it's always generally respectful. So I think that's amazing. It's just a nice version of Twitter, basically, where people actually help. From intermediate tier, you get the additional 5 podcasts a week. So normally that's Q&A on a Monday, Money in Football or UCL Fantasy on a Tuesday. Wednesday is normally Tottenham. Thursday we normally do a quiz. Friday we have game week previews. And for certain weeks, like during the international break, Suj is going to be away a little bit, so there'll be some different stuff over that period. But the volume will stay the same. And advanced tier, you get video content from me throughout the week as well. So normally that looks like, give you a rough idea, is normally something like on Monday will be like the unanswered Qs. So every question that gets sent in on Twitter, I cover it in detail for the advanced tier patrons for the main podcast. Tuesday is normally something like Twitter stories. So we have a bit of a laugh at how Twitter reacts to a particular game over the weekend. Nico clips in the clips from the game, etc. That's quite cute. Talking Tactics is normally on a Thursday where I'll break down something tactically. So, for example, this week we did a 30-minute video near enough. It was 25 to 30-minute video on Liverpool's victory over Manchester United. Looking at Liverpool's box midfield, looking at how Manchester United tried to expose Trent Alexander-Arnold on turnovers, and then the car crash of how the second half fell apart. Chip Talk is a regular feature during this stage of the season. So this week I did what I would do if I was on wildcard, if I was free hitting in 28 or not free hitting in 28. So we looked at both versions. There's a team news stream on a Friday as well. So that's where I'll go through. So it's like live stream. It would just be me and the advanced tier patrons. Go through predicted lineups for all 20 teams. Have a little kind of private Q&A as well. Go through all the team news. That's roughly it. And obviously there's access to extra things. So someone mentioned the studio. So the first thing we'll be doing in the studio is probably holding an event for our patrons, and it will be exclusive for patrons. The studio is in Barnet, by the way, in North London. Let's say that right at the top of North London. So there's additional things as well. But yeah, essentially that's roughly what you get at Patreon. Support the show if you want the extra. Support the show if you want to support the show, right? James says, who wins the arm wrestle between you and Suj? Suj by miles. Ben Edinson says, what one signing would you want to build the next era of Spurs around? Semi-realistic signing at least. If I'm having De Zerbi, there's a few players I'd not like to nick from Brighton as well. Yeah. Let me say Ivan Toney if Kane goes. Jan Remy Nielsen's favourite Norwegian player in the Premier League era, Erik Thorsvedt. Motta says, what happened to that bloke that asked you to go to the gym with him on the stream ages ago? God knows. Atul says, you look better with him off, James. No, I'm not having it. David Hunter says, James, we haven't deserved credit for showing solidarity with Gary Lineker by not appearing on Match of the Day next season. Gordon Hamilton says, cheers. Peter says, hi, James. Sky question was going to do Odegaard Salah after Arsenal play Leeds. Should I do that move today? No. That makes no sense, mate. After Salah plays today, you've got 3 games of Odegaard. You've got Fulham, Crystal Palace and Leeds, while Salah plays Man City. So, no. Steve Greenwell says, thanks, James. About the space, I thought we might see some martial arts from Suj and dance moves from you. Joking, all the best to you. Don't joke, could be, mate. Greg Frost Zerby, get him in for Spurs. Yeah, exactly. Andy P says, great stream as always, James. The new studio sounds interesting. It would be great to see the expansion of such an amazing product you have. Good luck for the future. Thank you, Andy. And our good friend Ray Qureshi says, hi, James. I've met all the FPL content creators apart from the guys who I prefer the most, yourselves. Any plans to attend the meets? Yeah, at some point. It's got to work for me in terms of Tottenham not playing the same weekend and starting. That's going to be rare, to be honest. But yeah, absolutely, we'll make it happen, Ray. James says, what martial arts does Suj do? Ray says he does BJJ, which is blowjob something else. Right, on that note, could be blowjob James, doesn't it? Cut. We can end it there, guys. Much love. Me and Suj will be back with the Game Week Review podcast on Monday. If you want to support the show, you know where, www.patreon.com/PlanetFPL. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Have a great weekend. See you Monday, everyone. Ciao for now.